And also many areas of the world, Islam was not introduced to them through any conquests or battles or something like that, but they embraced it themselves through contact with Muslim traders. And most of Southeast Asia, Indonesia and Malaysia, and these areas, there were no Muslim fighters or conquests to go there. And they embraced Islam themselves through the contact with Muslim traders who were mostly coming from the Yemen area, from the southern Arabian area. And this is why many of these families in Indonesia and Malaysia, they still hold today Arabic names of the South Arabian, families like Attas and Badawi and I don't know other names. The capital markets today, I think, constitutes a very interesting domain for this interaction. There are lots of capital in many parts of the world searching for good projects to be invested, and a substantial amount of this capital is Sharia compliant. It is Islamic capital, which the owners of them, whether they are sovereigns or whether they are corporates or whether they are individuals, are cautious and they do not want it to be invested in a manner which is against their faith and belief. And the sukuk, which is the subject of also later discussions, is a very interesting, product which utilizes these sources of fund and brings them together with those who need to use them. Now, sukuk have been used in building roads, bridges, building libraries, through financing these projects, hospitals, schools, dams, lots of energy, electricity, water projects, even stadiums, and communication, telephone and what have you. Some of the very interesting sukuk using the asset class of airtime. Airtime is considered as an asset which can be securitized and which can be traded. And this was one of the very early innovative sukuks of Mobile in Saudi Arabia, which was designed based on securitizing airtime. And many things, if you read the sukuk standard in the Awofi Sharia standard, there are about 19 or 20 asset classes mentioned there. Even intellectual properties and rights and these things can be used to use it in the sukuk. Now, there is a big debate that it was referred to yesterday in the presentation of KPMG presenter about whether the sukuk are, these are debt instruments or equity instruments and so on. And this was raised after the current crisis, and that some sukuk were rescheduled or defaulted. So there was a big fuss about it in the media. And you will read articles like, is it the demise of sukuk? And I don't know what, and all these exaggerations which the reporters, love. There are hundreds of thousands of bonds, conventional bonds, which have went into junk bonds, and nobody said that it's the demise of the bond. Now, if one sukuk, somebody is rescheduling or somebody is for certain reasons want to, even if he defaults, it doesn't mean that it is the demise of the sukuk, So I don't know why these exaggerations. But to come back to whether these sukuk are equity or they are, they are debt instruments, I believe that most of these sukuks are a hybrid instrument. What I mean by a hybrid instrument, I mean that they start by being a quasi-equity instrument because there is a shift of ownership, either beneficial or legal. And it might end at the end by being a debt instrument, by the issuer becoming obliged to purchase under the purchase undertaking in certain cases. So if he does not purchases or undertakes, then he will become a defaulter, and then the sukuk holder will be, considered pari passu with other debtors. Now, for many reasons, this was designed in this way. Some of our scholars and of our teachers, they want to make it completely equity instrument, but that defies the purpose of sukuk. If we make it just like any share or any equity in the market. So in any case, the sukuk are here and they will remain for a long time. And since the time is finished, I will end here. Thank you very much.
I'd like to thank our esteemed guest, Reverend King, discussing the relevance of usury laws in the Christian faith and providing some examples, and Sheikh Yaqoobi on providing some history on the Islamic references to usury, and also the relevance of the sukuk market, and at the end of the day looking at risk over the structure. The structure is halal, but the investors need to evaluate the risk at the end of the day. Thank you very much. I'd like to invite the next speakers,